Good morning. Happy Saturdays, Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Midnight Madness.
Freddy.
Good morning, folks. Freddy Politics Unfiltered. Coming to you live with the year's first Midnight Madness. First Midnight Madness of 2023. And my apologies for earlier today. I had an emergency come up. So I was not able to do the show with Anthony the Manager, but we will be on tomorrow for sure. Again, I apologize. We've been making it a point not to miss the days, but something came up, very important. Hello, good morning. How you doing, folks? Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. We're only 7 days in. Well, now 7 days in, 6 days and 9 minutes to be exact, into the new year. It's been very eventful. A student this morning, or yesterday morning, I should say Friday morning, was stabbed 3 times by two 17-year-olds. The victim was a 16-year-old boy who was attending Yonkers Middle High School. And he got into a fight, I guess, with two other students in a bathroom on the second floor, where it then spilled out into a common area where apparently someone recorded it. They pulled out their cell phone and got, some pretty graphic stuff. I don't know if you guys were able to see the video, but when I saw it, I couldn't believe it. Very graphic. You can't see the faces. I am going to show it. I did do some other things to kind of, conceal a little bit. I didn't want it to show. It's very graphic. I mean, it's very, very graphic. And a little bit. So really quick before I play it, this is, I guess, a cell phone video from another student, I would imagine, who is capturing the two individuals, the 17-year-olds, kicking and punching the 16-year-old who's on the floor. As the 16-year-old falls on his back there and lays on the floor, one of these 17-year-olds appears to straddle him. And just before a school safety officer can enter the picture there, the student that was straddling him on top of the 16-year-old apparently stabbed him 3 times. And you can, you don't see it, and I try to hide it, but you can see kind of the arm, so you get the picture. I just wanted to put enough to get the idea, because I think it's very graphic. And by the way, it has been posted up already, which is why I showed it. So here you go, really quick, if you haven't seen it.
Did what I always do, every day the same routine before I skate off to school. But who knew that this day wasn't like the rest? Instead of taking the test, I took 2 to the chest. Call me blind, but I didn't see it coming. Everybody was running, but I couldn't hear nothing except gun blast. It happened so fast, I didn't really know this kid, though I survived in class. Maybe this kid was reaching out for love, or maybe for a moment he forgot who he was, or maybe this kid just wanted to be hugged. Whatever it was, I know it's because we are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation.
That is the youth of the nation, folks. Unfortunately, that is very graphic and it's horrible. And I can't believe that, that occurred on Friday morning. So what you see there is a kid in the blue hoodie, one of the 17-year-olds, kicking the 16-year-old boy as he's down on the ground. There's another 17-year-old. I guess he had like a dark brown jacket. He jumps on top of him as the 16-year-old's on the ground and begins to stab him just before the school safety officer gets there to stop it. The boy was immediately transferred to the hospital, where he was listed as critical but stable condition. The two 17-year-old boys were immediately arrested at the school, and they were charged with attempted murder. There was a knife recovered on the scene. When I got there, police were still there. There were news cameras there and stuff. So, I didn't have very much info, but that's all I have right now. This is absolutely heartbreaking. It is. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And many, other parents began to receive robocalls from the school district telling them what happened and if they wanted to come pick up their child that they, could. And so as I was there, I would see parents start to come in, and picking up their children, rushing in, scared, parking wherever. And that's scary. Imagine you're at work, at home, and you get a call and it's from your child's school and someone's been stabbed. And, classes are still going because the classes did remain in session, although I think they give the parents the option to pick up their child. But it's very scary. And now parents have been talking about it all day. Parents are scared. Some parents are saying, I got a 16-year-old myself in the schools. I'm scared. I'm concerned for them. What is going to be done about this? What is being done about this? And this is why, again, I've done basement politics, because they don't talk about the important issues. I'm hearing from people today, and I've heard this before, that there are a lot of incidents in our schools that are covered up. Why do they cover these incidents up rather than address them? Rather than address these incidents, right? And that's kind of what got me this whole child pornography thing initially, because I was sent a video by someone who told me they were going to be sending me videos of incidents that were occurring in the schools and were not being reported to parents. And one of them was a video, or was supposed to be anyway, a video of a stabbing. I never got that one, but I did get a video of two boys about to engage in a sex act. But there were other students there in the bathroom with them, videotaping them as well. The school knew about it. The police knew about it already. However, they kept that under wraps, right? And so this parent or this person would say, hey, Freddie, this needs to be exposed. They need to let parents know what's going on. It's very important. And I think we should. And I get it. They don't want to alarm everybody every time something's happening. But if there's so many incidents happening that they have to keep things under wraps, then something needs to be done. And what is being done? Our elected officials love to tout how safe our city is. Crime is down. We are the safest, or one of the safest, big cities in the country. But time after time, we are seeing incidents like this, and now in our schools. That's scary, super scary, super scary, right? It's bad enough it's happening in the streets. There was a stabbing the day before this one, and now it's happening in our schools. But why? Why do kids at 16 and 17 years of age feel the need to go to school with a knife, feel the need to engage in a fight, and pull that knife out and make the decision of stabbing another student, potentially killing that student, and putting them in jail for the rest of their lives? What's going through their heads at that age that they are making those decisions, that they're willing to engage in that destructive behavior? So these are the things that we need to understand. Why did this happen? Was this gang related? Did it start in the neighborhood and spill into the school? Was it over a girl? Or did it just happen right there? They bumped into each other. I remember back in the days when I was going to school, if you bumped into somebody, that was a fight. If you stepped on somebody's sneakers, prepare to fight. And back when I was in junior high school down at Riverside, now it's Museum School, there was the razor blades in the mouth, right? And they'll cut your cheek, leave you a scar. It's called a $1.50. And people would carry these razor blades in their mouth. And if you bump into somebody accidentally and the dude had a razor blade in his mouth, whoosh, whoosh. True story. If you see someone with a scar across their cheek, they may have gotten a $1.50. That opens up your skin bad and it bleeds. It's scary and it's dangerous. And we're still here, 2023. And it's still happening in our schools. So what are they doing about it? What's being done? Why did this happen? And I say it's important to understand why. And how do we get to the why? By implementing proactive initiatives to engage our students and understand what's going on in their lives. How do we steer and guide them on the right path? How do we get to know these things are happening or about to happen before they do, so we can, intervene? So that way a child doesn't lose their life, end up in a cemetery somewhere, and another child ends up in a jail. It's a tragedy all around. Tragedy all around. Right? And so now these two children, 17-year-olds, are being charged with attempted murder. Although they do qualify for youthful offender status. As of October 19th of 2019, they raised the age law where, a 17-year-old who commits a violent felony can qualify for youthful offender status. And instead of going to a criminal court and being charged as an adult, they can go to family court. And then it can also be, wiped off their record at some point. And I think in this case, they need to really evaluate it and see if this is something that maybe they should, consider. Fortunately, the kid survived. Now, had he died, but he survived. He survived. And I say this because I have my own experience with this. Not that I stabbed anyone, but I know someone who was involved, in just stupid things, right? Young, trying to be cool. A lot of reasons, starting at the home. Absolutely, starting at the home. And they got involved in something with a group of guys and someone ended up being stabbed, right? The person went to jail, but they came back. They were able to change their life. And now they're doing a lot better. And so you don't want to ruin, all these lives. And so I hope that maybe they consider this youthful offender thing for these kids, because again, the kid survived, but again, they have to understand the details. So what's going on? What are they doing about this? The administration and the elected officials are saying we have one of the safest, biggest cities in the country. Crime is down. Graduation rates are up. But is that true? Is that just all a bunch of fluff, especially now that we're coming on an election year, especially for the mayor who is really pushing it, isn't he? With that fourth term, really pushing it, changing the law once again to run for a fourth term. So he has to make it look really good. And he's promoting a lot of people and hiring a lot of other people, hiring a lot more cops, which is good. They say we need them, but that's a reactive approach. And so while we absolutely need police, we also need proactive measures so we can get to these kids in time, get to them early, so they're not considering going to school with a knife because they have a beef with someone and they have to stab them. So what are we doing, elected officials, administration? Whatever happened to the DARE program that I hear was in the schools? Why don't we have some of these cops that are sitting around with, Optimum TV or Con Edison put into the schools and sit there and engage the students? Not that you have to have them all over the school, but a couple cops is a presence. Because I'll be honest with you, no disrespect to the security officers, but the students don't have the same level of respect for those guys as they do for police officers. So just having police officers there, that's a deterrent. So why don't we do that? I mean, just today I saw 3 cop cars doing traffic detail for one Optimum TV van. One at a 2-lane road. 2-lane road. And in fact, two of the cops were next to each other talking with their cop cars, kind of blocking the path for us. I'm just saying, right? So why don't we take one of those officers and, or maybe 2, I think one would have been enough, and put them in the schools? Create the DARE program again. Engage the kids. You have to engage the kids. You can't sit back and say, well, let's hope that they come to us. You have to engage them. The same way all the negativity engages them, like the gangs and the drugs and the sex, that's all in their face on social media. They're talking about it to friends. Let's engage them with positive information, positive activities and flood them with that so we can counter all the negativity that the world is throwing at them these days. We need to engage our kids. What is our elected officials and administration doing? What have they been doing? And we have to consider this when we go to vote this year. And let them not tell us that they're going to do this now, because many of them had a long time. And of course, they would tell us this as they seek our votes. So we have to wisen up and say, no, you had your chance. You had your time. Kids are still getting stabbed in the schools. Our schools have not improved, really. Numbers are fluff. People know this. What are the real results? And sometimes I wonder, do they really care about our schools because of the demographic? It's largely Black and Hispanic. 60%, over 60% is Hispanic, 63%. But it's largely made up of students that are living at or below the poverty line. And these are kids that are not having connections, family and friend network hookups. They're not going to get like most likely a city job, most of them. Just statistically being honest, a lot of them are going to remain in their neighborhood to repeat a cycle. That's a fact. That's why I wanted to work with the city to engage our youth. So what are we doing? What are our elected officials doing? You know, the parties and the cookouts and the stuff like that are great. It brings people together to socialize. But then there's times we have to get to work. And we have to do things that are going to make an impact, a true impact for their future. And we're going to see that result. And, you know, we're going to show it. Here are the results. These are the kids that came through this program or that utilize these resources. And now they're doing this. Where are those, you know, programs and results and stuff at? You know, and again, I'm not criticizing anyone specifically. Do not take it personal, because some individuals do, and therefore they dislike me for it. But my point is simply this: has anything really changed, especially for the Black and Hispanic youth? Has it? Has it? Has the rate of success increased? Are they even measuring that or even keeping track? They're just telling us the graduation rate is increased. What does that mean? They graduate high school, okay. These days, that's not enough. It's not enough. A master's at times is not enough, right? And as jobs start to dwindle, it's going to become more competitive. And so how are we keeping our youth, you know, competitive for the future? We have to think about this. Is our schools and the quality of education that they're providing keeping up with what the needs are and the requirements are going to be for, you know, employees of the future? Probably going to be a lot of robotics engineering, so you can create the AI robots that are going to take over the jobs. Someone's got to fix them. Maybe they'll start to fix themselves, right? So, agreed, more programs and more strong role models for our youth. So many need strong, loving male role models. Absolutely, I agree. You know, and again, I'm not criticizing. This is not, you know, because, and I say, and the reason why I say that is because, you know, I've done podcasts before, and, you know, there have been organizations and people within organizations that have, you know, taken personal offense to it. And it's not about you or your organization. For me, it's about the youth of the city and, you know, seeing that they have a chance and that they don't go through something like this. So there's not another incident like this being repeated, not just in the schools, but even outside of the schools. So we need programs that are going to not only, you know, do fun social things, but also that are going to teach these, you know, kids valuable skills and lessons being role modeled by individuals that have achieved the goals that they are now set out to achieve. These young kids, right, set out to achieve. We have to have, individuals also that have shown the level, of accomplishment that you want to see these kids achieve. Right. And so we have to also have these things set up correctly, I'm saying. Right. We have to be smart about the way we put these programs together. Excuse me. And I get it. I get it. We want to involve everyone in the entire community. Absolutely. But we want to have success because the true goal is to see kids break the cycle of poverty. Stop repeating generational poverty. I've seen it so many times. I still see it. It's difficult to escape poverty for anybody, regardless of color, regardless of color. But it's even more difficult when you are, a person of color, a Hispanic, a Black person, because you're less likely going to be, welcome right away. It's just a fact of life. I've experienced that. I'm less likely going to have a friend or a family member that, works somewhere where they can give you a connection. Or like you say, less likely to have positive male role models a lot of times, so it's difficult. And so what are we doing? What are our administration providing for our kids here in the city of Yonkers, right? Besides just telling us that things are better, show us, right? Show us. Students and their families need better choices. Charter schools and vouchers. The public schools are a monopoly. Yeah, people are saying that. I speak to a parent who has daughters in a charter school, and she raves about it, right? And she really raves about it. And me personally, charter school, public school, it really it's just about how it's managed. That's really the difference, right? It's really about how it's managed. And charter school, because it has a more flexibility in how they manage, right? They operate more like a for-profit business, right? Like they want to succeed, right? They want to do well. Whereas our public schools, again, it's a government-run agency, so there's no real care if their success, right? Because everybody's going to get paid regardless, right? Teachers, administrators, superintendents, the elected officials, everyone's going to get paid regardless, right? Regardless if the students fail, what I'm saying? If whatever, if this is a low, graduation rate or not, they're going to get paid. And in fact, they're going to get raises because they vote on raises for themselves, right? Whereas charter schools, it's not like that. Right. And also, you don't have the tenure. Some people have complained about this, where in public schools, you have tenure. And so therefore, I don't want to say that teachers don't do a good job. I'm saying that, but they say that then people get comfortable. They know they're not going to get fired. And so they're not performing, at the level that they should. Whereas in charter schools, if that's the case, you're going to get fired. Right. So there are those differences that go, really along with management. Right. And what you can do in charter schools versus public school. But really, at the end of the day, if you had someone in charge of the district, right, and I don't want to say just in charge of it, because that person also needs to have the freedom, the resources, the flexibility to implement things, that they want to do and not be restricted and not things be politicized, right? And you get someone in there that has true, genuine intentions. The public schools can be great. They can be great. I mean, you wouldn't need charter schools. You really wouldn't, right? It's just a matter of management. Who's managing the schools? What's happening there? Where's the money? Where's the money? We got COVID money. We get the casino money. And we're still begging the state for more and more money. So what are elected officials really doing? What are they really doing? So again, it goes to mismanagement, poor management of our, overall city at the end of the day. And what are the goals of those individuals who are managing the city? Is it to improve the city for, the overall betterment of everyone? Or is it to, monopolize the politics here in order to benefit financially for themselves, right? And that's been the problem far too long, people have been more concerned with benefiting financially for themselves. So the schools, they don't care. Elected officials many times don't even send their kids to the public schools, especially when they get to high school. Many of them go to Stepinac, Catholic school. And if they do go to the public school, they are sure to go to the best ones, right? The ones that everybody puts number one on their choice. They get in there. And so you go to certain schools and it's a who's who, right? So, that's not fair. So, but as long as they're good, screw everyone else. And that's what it seems to be like. That's just my opinion. They're finally getting another school built, which is what they need. And that's another problem. You think you got so many kids cramped up into one building, you're going to have more problems. Like I said, you're going to be more likely to bump into each other, right? Or you're going to have more kids, that are coming with problems from the outside, seeing each other in school. And then we don't have any, connection from the neighborhoods to the school. Right. So we don't know what's going on there that's coming into the school. It's just a total lack of just real care for what's really happening. Unfortunately, sometimes the only way to affect change is to provide an alternate to the exiting status quo. No, I agree. Listen, I get it. I understand why charter schools exist. And I'm not against charter schools. I'm really not. Whatever works. However, we can get our kids to be better educated. And for those who are living in poverty, to break the cycle of poverty, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And in my opinion, I believe down the line, and actually George Bush signed this years ago, right? The first George Bush, where it gave the governments and local municipalities and federal whatever the right to sell off its assets, including its schools, and privatizing them. So that's an option for our government. And maybe that's why John Rubel once in a meeting asked Dr. Casada if it was a good idea to sell the school buildings and then just rent them. He figured rather than renovate them and have to deal with the improvements ourselves, we can sell it off to an investor and we'll just rent them. That was his idea. Rather than say, hey, let's figure out where the hell this money's going. Let's get some money together and fix these schools and get new school buildings up. We need 3, according to a study that was done. They finally got one going on McLean. That's already going over budget. Probably going to hit about $100 million for one school. Money mismanagement. And if you find out what connections the contracting has there to individuals within the city, you'll understand why it's going over budget. And it's just unfortunate because we lose. They steal from us. I don't know how much longer you guys want to sit there and take it, but I'm done. And I hope this coming year and this coming elections, you all show that you're done as well. We have to improve our schools and the safety of our schools for our kids. We want to ensure that when we send them off on that bus or when we drop them off in front of the school and they go inside, that they're going to be safe. And it's not going to feel like they're just out in the street alone because they can get stabbed by somebody. 16 years old. 16 years old. And I blame this also, again, on our elected officials. Not completely. I get it. They didn't do this. They didn't directly have a hand in it. But it's their incompetence and their lack of concern and interest in our schools. The same way I blamed them for the death of 16-year-old CJ Hackett, the child that was killed by a drunk driver who worked for DPW. And I say that because they have allowed individuals to get away with stuff for so long that people, they don't feel like they could get touched. They're invincible. They can do whatever they want. Right? When we've seen this happen too many times. So it's our officials not concerned with what's important that has created the mess that we're in, that has led to this. And so what are they doing? What have they done? And for some, their time is up. So are we going to extend that time for them? Or are we going to say enough is enough? It's time for change. Our kids deserve it. It's their future depends on it, truly. Unless you're going to leave Yonkers, right? So, and and I've seen great public schools. I've been to public schools that were amazing. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I mean, they had gymnastic team, hockey teams, golf, everything, everything. Right. And many kids got, what do you call it? Scholarships to D1 school, Division I schools, top schools for, sports, as well as, for academics as well. We had a kid that scored a perfect score on the SAT. Right. But because of the opportunities they have within the school, they are able to excel. And it's like normal. Like my wife, she used to say, I never thought about failing. I used to think about it all the time, every day. Because where I come from, most likely we're not going to leave this area. And I wanted to get out. And she never worried that she would fail in life, that she would, be poor. Never. That thought never came across her mind. And so, that must be a comforting feeling. For a kid like me, I had a lot of anxiety. Right. And so we have to provide more for our children. And we as a community have to step up together for all our kids, because they are all our kids. Every single one of them. Because I like to think that if you saw my kids out there for whatever reason alone, that you look out for them the same way that I would look out for yours if I saw them out there alone for whatever reason. They are our kids. And we have to stand up. And we do that this year by voting. Voting for change. Voting for people who care about our city, our community, our education, and that is their primary motivation. That's what we need. So I'm tired of it. And so I'm speaking out. And this saddens me to see this, and it concerns me as a parent, and it concerns a lot of parents, and it concerns, about the safety of our schools. And people are now saying, what is Dr. Quesada doing about it? Well, what is Dr. Quesada doing about it? What is he doing about it? And can he do anything about it? This is, the $1 million question. Is he able to truly do anything? Because from what I hear, he's restricted, limited. His hands are tied. He could only do so much. All the orders come from the top, all of them. And that's a strong mayor for you, right? We have a strong mayor government here. And this mayor has definitely, taken that to heart, right? We can all say that. He's taking that to heart. And he definitely is a strong mayor. He controls every department. Put the budgets together. Controls that too now. And so ultimately, Dr. Quesada has to do what the administration says. If the administration wants to add more security, guess what? They're going to put more security. That's it. That's it. If they feel that they need it, they can do it. If they want to go into the schools and do a security assessment or safety assessment of the schools, they can do it, the administration, anytime they want. Dr. Quesada is not going to stop them. He can't. So if they blame it and put it on Quesada, that's an excuse. It's passing the buck. He's the scapegoat. So we cannot blame Dr. Quesada. We have to blame those that actually can get things done. And that is why we must vote for change. We must vote for change this year. All right? And I hope that you guys come out and support this. Again, our kids depend on it. There's so much that needs to be done. So much that needs to be done. And I'm not talking about in terms of luxury developments. I'm talking about in terms of our basic needs and services, our schools, our roads, crime, the overdose fentanyl problem that they keep in hush hush, the homelessness that we see growing. It's getting scary how many, individuals I see now that are homeless. Scary. Banks are now considering closing their ATMs because they don't want the homeless people sleeping inside the ATM lobbies. Well, the Wells Fargo in Getty Square has been doing that for maybe 2 years now. That's how bad it is in Yonkers. We are the originators of this. So what are they doing? What are these lovely Democrats that control the city of Yonkers doing? That lovely Democratic Party that gets together and meets about people like me. What are we going to do about Freddy Vazquez? No, what are you going to do about the schools? What are you going to do about the roads? What are you going to do about the crimes? Can we get the homeless folks inside somewhere? Can we provide some activities for our youth and get them engaging in positive activities? You're renovating these parks, and that's great. But will we see kids in the parks really? Little kids maybe. But what about our teens? They're not hanging out on the swing set. They're not going down the slide. And they're not doing the workouts or the bars and stuff you're putting up. Some people do. But not really. The majority of the youth that, we need to reach, we're not doing enough. They are not doing enough. They're not providing enough to engage them. They're not properly engaging them. They're not properly engaging them in the schools where they have an opportunity to, where they gather every day, 5 days a week. There you go, elected officials. Because I don't understand what your role is. I'm confused. Because if I was mayor, I'd be in our schools every day. I'd be in Yonkers every day, walking around, seeing what needs to be done. Maybe I just don't know. Maybe I know not every day, but you'd see me there. You'd see me there, right? And so why don't I see our elected officials out here more? Rent is going up, folks. A lot of people, bye-bye. See you later. Having trouble finding a place to live after being kicked out of their previous apartment. It's getting tough. Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Again, our elected officials are not meeting our basic needs. They're not providing the basic needs and services. Where are the jobs? Quality of the education. The roads suck. The crime. Cost of living, out of hand. Homelessness, out of hand. Again, what are our elected officials doing? What have they done? And will they sell us another dream and make empty promises again come June and November? I'm willing to bet that's what's going to happen. So, folks, I just want to talk about that because I'm upset. It bothers me because I spoke to these individuals. I spoke to individuals at the top. I told them what I wanted to do. And I know I'm not saving everybody, and I'm not saying that I'm stopping this, but let's start implementing things. We could have been getting things going, right? But it's not their concern. It's not their, primary motivation for becoming elected officials, unfortunately. Many people just become officials just to say, hey, I'm a politician, hey, to make the money and, whatever other benefits they can, find. And it's just unfortunate. This is what is strange to me. This is a position where you're supposed to be a public servant, yet you serve yourself. For the most part, they do. And not one has yet to prove me wrong. Not one has been bold enough to come on my show and say, Freddie, I'm going to prove you wrong. Here we go. Let's go. You want to talk about it? I'm going to prove you wrong on your show. Not one. Not one. Not one. Instead, they have sent their terrorizers to terrorize me and my family, to create lies about me in hopes that I go away. They've tried suing me $1 million. I'm being sued for $1 million because I'm exposing the corruption, the lack of concern that our elected officials truly have for us. People of all color, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they're black. They don't care about the blacks either, right? We're all in the same boat. They don't care about us. They didn't bring any jobs for us. Had somebody telling me 2 days ago, I'm going to all these construction sites, and I don't see anyone from Yonkers. I mean, no disrespect, but they look like they came from, South America or Central America, right? Not from Yonkers. Definitely not from Yonkers. Yet these developers are getting tax breaks, money that we need for our schools so we can have things for our kids. So they are not stabbing each other in the schools. We are having positive male role models, individuals that have a proven track record, that can show you and guide you, right? That's what we need. Not to be hooking up friends and family in positions that they're not qualified for, ultimately causing, for whatever it is that they're doing not to be done well, ultimately causing the people to suffer, right? We're not getting the best quality services here because they don't hire the best quality people. They hire the friends and family. And enough is enough. And I'm ready to vote people out. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Midnight Madness. What are elected officials doing to improve our schools overall? Not just the quality of the academics, but the quality of the buildings that are falling apart. Some are over 100 years old, but also the quality or the level of safety being provided for our students. And some people are calling for metal detectors. Metal detectors. It's unfortunate that we have to consider metal detectors and more police officers or resource officers. Essentially, we have prisons. But that's not the solution. The solution is not a reactive. And I get to, metal detective, I guess, is proactive, but not really, right? Why don't we get to the kids before they consider, again, bringing weapons to school to do harm, to engage in destructive behavior? How do we do that? How do we get into their minds, their souls, and get them on a path to success and a desire to help others, not hurt others? I'm Freddy Vazquez, Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you, folks, for watching with me, staying up late. Thank you to the folks who will be watching tomorrow. I appreciate it. Folks, continue to share the podcast. Again, I'm here to bring information. I'm not here to beef with anybody in the community. That's for sure. Not the community. We are supposed to be together, united. I'm not here to go against anyone in the community. My issue is with our elected officials, those who have sold us these empty promises to do such great things. And here we are, only 7 days into the new year, and we have a 16-year-old stabbed. But not just stabbed, brutally beaten before he was stabbed. Rushed to area hospital, and 2 17-year-old boys charged with attempted murder. What are we doing here, folks? It's time to vote for change. And so I have no beef with people in our community. And sometimes, we have been misled. You have to understand, to some of those individuals in the community who may have issue with Freddy or basement politics, they divide us. They tell you something and tell me something to keep us apart, to keep us being suspicious or disliking each other, even though we've never met. I've never met many of you. And I'd be more than willing to meet you because I'm not looking for enemies of anyone. I'm looking for friends to unite and improve the city of Yonkers and see the writing on the wall. Look around you to those that have been, told these lies by some of these individuals. I know you go into the events, they bring you around to things, they let you do certain things, start to feel good. But ultimately, what are you really doing and what are they really doing? Do you want to be a part of kicking your people out, pushing your people out of the community? Is that what you want to be remembered for? Helping the developers, helping the big, wealthy, deep pocket guys, like, that was how you want to be remembered? Or you want to be part of change, bettering the community for all, doing the right thing, standing on the right side of history. So think about that. To individuals that may take issue with basement politics, I mean, I can understand if you're, a supporter of these individuals because they treated you very good, they gave you a job and you're in there. I get that. But for the majority of us, that's not the case. If you take issue with basement politics for whatever reason, think about why. Really think about it, because they do divide our community. That is how they continue to win, divide and conquer. And it's time to unite. I'm Freddy Vazquez, folks. Have a beautiful and blessed night. And I'm about to go to sleep. Love you, Yonkers. I honestly love you. Again, anyone that likes to have a conversation with me and just understand things better. Oh, love. Get together and make some change. We have an opportunity to make history here, folks. What are you going to do?
Freddy wins. Fatality.
I'm about making history. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics. This is Midnight Madness. My condolences, my prayers to the family of the 6-year-old boy who was stabbed today. And I send my prayers to the family of the boys who were arrested for it. It's rough on everybody. We are all a product and victims of our environments and the systemic oppression that exists within our country here, unfortunately. But we can change it, right? I'm Freddy Vazquez. See you soon.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me. And I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want somebody to butter chicken.
That's a lot of stars. 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 Let's make it happen, guys. Make me happy today. That's a lot of stars. Are we? Let's make it happen, guys. Make me happy today.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddy Vazquez.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Come on, give it to us straight.
Not long ago.
Come on, give it to us straight.
Not long ago.
Come on, give it to us straight.
Not long ago. But I am the bad guy. But I am the bad guy. But I am the bad guy.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I want